Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Jerry Nadler. You know, during the whole Joe Biden meme where he supposedly pooped his pants in front of the Pope, when of course we dubbed Joe Biden Poopy Pants Biden, and the name stuck for maybe a couple months, we failed to give recognition to the original Mr. Poopy Pants. Jerry Nadler, Mr. Gerald Nadler, Jerry Nadler, Democrat representative from New York. Because in his case, of course, it's not an uncorroborated report or story, but rather it happened live on camera for everybody to see. It's pretty much undeniable that's clearly what happened.
And Chairwoman, and I also want to acknowledge Maxine Waters is doing some very important work on this subject, not part of this package, but part of preserving our democracy. With that, I'm pleased to yield to the distinguished chairwoman.
And if you think it's anything else, well then you are clearly coping. It seems to be a trend when it comes to Democrat politicians, young and old, from Joe Biden to Jerry Nadler to, of course, Eric Swalwell or Eric Fartwell.
Taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help them cheat an election.
And of course, speaking of trends on the Democrat side when it comes to Democrat politicians, the biggest trend that we've been seeing these days is clear cognitive decline. And probably the craziest part of all is Democrat voters voting for candidates who are in clear cognitive decline. And that's of course why we're talking about the original Mr. Poopy Pants Jerry Nadler, because there's a new report coming out of his office adding to the reports that Jerry Nadler is in clear cognitive decline. He is cognitively impaired, apparently to the extent that he's so old, so fragile, and so tired all the time that he regularly sleeps through meetings. We gotta talk about this stuff. We gotta talk about term limits and basic cognitive function. It's kind of crazy that we're even talking about this. I mean, you would think that the democratic process would filter out this kind of stuff, but of course, Democrat voters never cease to amaze. I mean, they'd probably argue that it's ableism or something. It's somehow discriminatory to not vote for someone just because their brain is malfunctioning in their old age. But we gotta talk about this report. We just got to talk about the phenomenon as a whole. Of course, I've got some stuff to show you guys, so let's roll the tape. Alright friends, so the latest report in respect to Democrat cognitive decline. Oh, and in the intro, I forgot to mention Dianne Feinstein, which of course we've covered extensively. But here we go, back to Jerry Nadler. Democrat staffer reveals Congress's well-kept secret, recurring issue plaguing Nadler. At 75 years old, longtime New York Representative Jerry Nadler, a Democrat, is far from being the oldest member of Congress, but he's certainly well past his prime. A Democratic staffer told the New York Post that Nadler, who serves as a chairman of the powerful House Judiciary Committee, has earned a nickname from his peers, quote, "Rockabye Baby." It is apparently a well-kept secret that the abrasive congressman falls asleep during meetings frequently. Citing a Zoom meeting of House Democratic Committee chairs earlier in the year, the aide who participated in the planning session said Nadler fell asleep. No one woke him up. The discussion simply continued without him. The staffer said, "It's just a known thing." It's just a known thing, folks. Nothing to see here, just an old man who's supposedly one of the most important elected officials within the realm of Washington, just regularly sleeping through most meetings, unable to keep his eyes open, keep his brain operating. Totally normal, nothing to see here, folks. This is why government is such an absolute failure, because clearly within a meritocratic system and a free market business system, somebody falling asleep on the job is an immediate disqualification factor. I mean, it's almost like hiring a heroin addict as your employee, handling the cash register just in and out of consciousness, or a frequent ketamine user going into a K-hole as you're trying to order a Subway sandwich or something. I mean, that is a disqualifying factor. But within the realm of government, it's not. Jerry Nadler and of course Joe Biden could basically join him, aren't even qualified to make your sandwich at Subway, yet they both occupy two of the most important roles in government. But let's continue reading on. The Post reported there have been concerns among his colleagues, both Democrat and Republicans, that Nadler has, quote, slowed down considerably. Florida Representative Matt Gaetz, an outspoken Republican member of the Judiciary Committee, told the Post staff regularly have to wake him up during hearings. One House Democrat said, "I don't think it's like Dianne Feinstein," referring to the 89-year-old Democratic senator from California whose cognitive decline is well known. According to the report, however, you can just tell he's not as engaged with others. That's a totally political way to describe it. Not as engaged as others. Jerry Nadler is not engaged at all. He's not even conscious half the time. Here's a video that Representative Lauren Boebert posted to her Twitter feed back in October 2021. At Jerry Nadler is sleeping on the job, ... again.
On whether we're investigating, what the status of investigations are unless and until there's a public charge. That's important to protect.
And of course, I'm sure you guys remember this one from May 24th, 2019. Jerry Nadler recovering after almost fainting during a press conference.
Jerry, you want some? Yeah, I got some here. Jerry, take a drink. You look a little dehydrated, brother. You seem a little dehydrated. You okay? You want to take a drink of this to give yourself some? How you feel, man? You okay? You all right? Okay, do you want to drink some of this and give you some?
Clearly, it's another Democrat politician, not in good health. It's another politician who probably shouldn't be driving a car, let alone running the damn US government. And probably the craziest part of all, Jerry Nadler just won his primary battle against a field of Democrat contenders. How does that happen? How does Jerry Nadler win? During the primary debates, he said this.
An insurrectionist Republican Party, for the first time in our history, trying to stop the peaceful transfer of power. Now, therefore, I am leading the fight to stop this, and I have passed the 2 impeachments. In leading this, I've impeached Bush twice.
He can't even get the president right, just like Joe Biden. Yet Democrats keep voting for these fools. Now, I hope this isn't my political bias, but I'm not sure that I see this kind of stuff happening on the Republican side. You know, when it comes to Republican primaries, there is serious scrutiny on these candidates. Republican voters are actively draining the swamp, and not only that, seriously vetting and scrutinizing the candidates in front of them, the candidates that they're voting for. Democrats, on the other hand, don't seem to be doing the same thing. Dianne Feinstein is 89 years old, completely cognitively incapable of doing her job. I mean, not to be mean or disrespectful, but she probably belongs in a nursing home environment. Yet Democrat voters don't agree. They believe that she belongs in Congress over aspiring political talent. It's completely ludicrous. Almost as crazy as the fact that Democrats voted for Joe Biden. And now we're probably going to see more than 3 million Pennsylvanians vote for John Fetterman. Again, not to be disrespectful, because I don't want to attack anybody based on medical issues or their medical history, but it's just a plain fact. John Fetterman is not okay. He is not healthy. He suffered a stroke less than a year ago and is struggling to string coherent sentences together. And in 2022, mark my words, he's going to get 3 million votes in Pennsylvania. That is completely absurd. And of course, generally when people are having this discussion, the first topic that emerges is term limits, but age or tenure isn't even necessarily the issue here. I mean, if that was the case, if age was the issue, then Donald Trump would be a no-go. But we know that Donald Trump's cognitive faculties are all there. There has to be some sort of cognitive test, some sort of accountability to ensure that public officials, that elected officials, are in good health. I mean, what an absolute embarrassment. What a disgrace America has become on the world stage, with this bumbling, fumbling fool in the Oval Office and the top brass of the Democrat Party soiling himself during a public event at the podium. I mean, just think about it. How is that something that just pops up in the news cycle like a little blip on the radar, gets turned into a bunch of memes online, and then just manages to disappear? I mean, that is a serious issue, and possibly even an issue of national security. But people are just going to pretend like it's totally normal and move on with their lives. It's not. Joe Biden, Dianne Feinstein, Jerry Nadler, and John Fetterman should be deemed unhealthy and unfit to serve, period. That's just my opinion, and of course, that's the video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you're up for it. I'm going to get back to work. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.